If they have ace-7, we are always getting their money. So I don't think we need to raise. I think we just want to call. And if they don't have ace-7, they might just put the money in anyway. So that's what we're going with. We're just going to call, and then hope that they put all the money in. Which they don't, unfortunately. Which, I mean, if they have ace-7, we're going to get the money. That's a non-issue. But I'm going to guess they just had a singular 7. How's it going, everyone? We're playing some PokerStars today. 6 card, $1, $2. And we're already in some action. So we're going to check there. I don't play much PokerStars, but I do think it is a viable option for people playing low stakes. So I thought I would do a video on it. I do quite like the software and general nostalgia that I get from PokerStars. So I thought it's worth doing a video. I would say the only main problem for playing on Stars is the traffic. It's not what it used to be, but overall I do encourage people, if you're playing 1-2 or lower, you should check it out at least. All right, so we've got a small blind calling spot, I guess. And we have nut flush draw without anything and an overpair. I think this is an okay hand to donk, but I'm not going to do that. I think I'd rather have the 9 or like a 7-3 in my hand to do the donk. Now turn I think is a really easy donk bet because I have the 8 and I have nut flush draw. And we get called, and then about half the time I'm going to bluff this river. Let's get up some RNG because I forgot to bring it out. We rolled a 3, so we're not going to bluff this time. We're just going to give up. And we lose 2. We've got 3-bet pot. And we have flopped the wrap and a pair against an opponent who says they are not folding. I think we can call, and if the turn comes no jack, a jack or a 9, we can fold, and then any other we are stacking off. That looks pretty good. Happy with that. Unfortunately, we're flipping against Queen 10 with the jack, I think it was. Yeah, so that aces with the Queen 10 and the jack. So yeah, I think it was the right idea on my side, and this time we won the flip. I think PokerStars games are generally a tiny bit softer than GG, but I haven't really played too much of the lower stakes here on Stars, so I can't really say. If you guys want to tell me in the comments which you think is softer, that would be useful for everyone. That would be helpful. But I think they're both viable places to grind. There are clearly regs who are making a living playing these stakes on both sites, so I wouldn't say they're unbeatable in any way. So now we've got ace, queen, queen, 6, 5, 4. Fairly nice hand to open from the cutoff. We've got one caller. And unfortunately, we haven't really hit, so we're just going to slow down. We don't have any spades, so if I'm looking to make a bluff here, I want to have a spade, at least a big one preferably. And we got one player that I would guess is a recreational at this point from Canada, limping under the gun. I wouldn't immediately label someone as recreational for limping under the gun, but because they are not full stacked and they're doing it and they're from Canada, no offense Canadians, and we got another player limping, not full stack, so I think I will also mark them recreational. They're from the UK. There you go. That's where I'm from. Also think that that's pretty good sign that they're a fish. And again, we don't hit, so it's easy fold. All right, so we've got double suited aces on the button. Don't think it's the worst idea to flat this hand when we got recreational behind. It's not amazing. It's not an amazing double suited aces. So I do quite like occasionally calling these the weaker ones. And we've got someone pot betting, and they're a recreational, which is a pretty nice sign. If they have ace-7, we are always getting their money. So I don't think we need to raise. I think we just want to call. And if they don't have ace-7, they might just put the money in anyway. So that's what we're going with. We're just going to call, and then hope that they put all the money in. Which they don't, unfortunately. Which, I mean, if they have ace-7, we're going to get the money. That's a non-issue. But I'm going to guess they just had a singular 7. They had 7 jack. So that was nice. That was a nice payday. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you can see stars is soft. It's not just GG. Good stuff. Like to see it. Bit of Brit on Brit action. Given that they stacked off with that hand, how likely is it that they would have folded if I shoved the flop? No idea. No idea. But the reason I played that way was specifically because of the hand we saw earlier where they limped, and the cutoff opener being a reg, and me not quite having a super strong double suited aces. So some dominoes needed to fall perfectly into place to get that spot, but it showed why I do it, and that's going to be an extra bit of edge when you want to change your game plan against the table dynamics, as it were. I think that's probably one of the main differences, things that separate someone who is a good mid-stakes player from a high-stakes player, is understanding table dynamics. You don't always need to be table captain. You don't always need to be the solid reg that doesn't care about anything. I think understanding the table dynamics is just going to be where the money's at. Where the crusher's money is at, anyway. All right, so we got free bet. Obviously, it's a call. Obviously, we hit top set and a gut shot. So now we're looking for a pot bet. If they had bet any other size, I would think about slow playing. But when they pot, I just don't think they're going to fold much. So we may as well put it in. We may as well tank rather than snap shoving, because snap shoving probably not a good look. But they snap call, and we are 80%. We're 0%, but you know, we take the EV. I'm saving the EV for higher stakes, right? But yeah, overall, good spot. We've got a new player on the table that I don't know, but we don't get the action. Oh, aces again. And we got potentially a mass multi-way spot on table 2 as well. But unfortunately, the same player on both tables is taking their sweet ass time, which always annoys me. I feel like they should have a system on tables where if you're always taking a long time, that they should lower your time bank. That would be good, wouldn't it? Anyway, we're going to check to the other Brit at the table, but they don't want to bite. We've got Jack 9, we've got aces, we've got 9-7. I think I'm going to go for a bet. Trying to get it heads up, or you never know, I might just take it down completely. And then when we are called by this player, I think they're massively over representing the strength of their hand. So therefore I don't really want to bluff too much. Yeah. So we're just going to check, knowing that we're probably going to lose, but it's okay. Again, we got aces. This one's not as good. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different, which again is to do with table dynamic. I think that the player who we are targeting right now is so far off how you should be playing that I want to target them as much as I can. And I think that by raising, I put myself in much tougher spots than if I limp and call. So that's what we're going to do. It's not a particularly good aces. The main reason you raise these aces is because of the fold equity that you gain. And then we've got the 2-pair, we've got aces, but we're out of position against the pot bet. I think we just wait for a better spot. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not too bothered by that. It's not the kind of player that I think that we can call with the intention to bluff later. Nothing about them so far has said that we want to be doing that. So, yeah, I just want to be in pots against them where I can bloat the pot when I'm good, and the pot is somewhat contained when I'm not sure. All right, so this one's likely just going to be folded. I think this player is what you would call a whale. So, we're going to be focusing much of our attention around this player rather than anyone else on the table, because that edge that we can gain here is just going to be bigger. So we're just going to ignore everyone else and just do whatever we think will play well against them. Given most whales play lots and lots of hands, it's quite easy to do that because they play lots of hands and then they're often involved all the way to the river. This time they had the nuts, so that's nice to stay away from that. But yeah, PokerStars looks good. If I was playing $1, $2 stakes, I think it looks like something that you should think about adding to your game, unless you've got good tables or you're going for leaderboards and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to call the ace 10 977 for reasons we already said. Wouldn't be something that you have to play normally, but when we're playing someone, I would say, this hyper aggressive and kind of not understanding hand strength, I want to be in there as often as possible. Right, we got double suited kings, which we're going to have to reluctantly call. We've missed completely, so that's the end of that. The ace queen jack 6-4-3 is a kind of close open spot if it wasn't for this player in the blinds, but we just want to be in these pots with these guys, so that's not a problem for me. Normally I wouldn't look at betting here, but I would have if it had been checked to me. Now that I've got a bet and a call, I think it's just a call. Don't think there's any other option. We now got 2 flush draws, but it's kind of unlikely that the spade one is good. But yeah, again, we still can't fold. An ace or a jack would, even maybe a 6 would be a good thing. I'll take the nuts. No, it's not the nuts. Take that back. It's not the nuts. 9-7 is the nuts. And then on table 2, we are just betting for value with our top 2 and then checking back. Right, so I would normally be not betting this big, but when we got a recreational like here's, I think they're going to call when they have like a king queen with a king high flush draw. I would normally go a bit smaller there when I have the queen. When I've got 2 high hearts, I don't think you're going to get much calling, much value there. But in that instance, I did go bigger. I could have gone pot. I think pot would also have been called. If they got a king high flush, are they going to fold after what we've seen? Probably not. So I think I made a small mistake there, but I'll have to live with it. All right, we've got limped all the way too, which is nice. We've got a set. I wouldn't often think about leading this set just to thin the field, but given how often this player has been betting, I decided on checking. And now same thing. We have the 9, so that's good that we block 9s. I find it really weird that I get raised, but do I want to be folding? So I would often fold if I had just bare 4s and the 9, because they could have some aces, but I block the ace as well. So I think we are sticking around. And now we've got a queen high flush, which is going to cause some serious problems for us, which we're just going to check. And we were hoping for the check back, but I'm not really. Yeah. Right, so realistically, what do I think their range is there? I think it's some trapping aces. I think it's some trapping, some 9s that are just hit. And then I think it's also things like Jack 10 with nut flush draw. So I don't think I want to call this at all, because I think we're just behind the betting range, and then the set's probably just check behind. So yeah, unfortunate, but it is what it is. Is my hand here good enough to play against someone? This, I don't think so. I think that would be too wide. I think it's something that is quite easy. You start creeping into playing far too wide when you're kind of hunting someone. We've got a good hand. I'm just gonna float the pot. I think it's gonna go at least 3 ways, always. But I just want to build the pot up when I've got a strong hand. And then on table 2, considering whether I would want to free bet this, and I think it's close, honestly. I decided not to this time, but I think that is genuinely close. And then here we got an easy fold. Right, so we got 8s here, and I rolled a 68 with my RNG. So I'm just going to check raise. I wouldn't always raise this top set. I think a lot of people just always raise the top set, but I wouldn't. It's not as strong as you want it to be on such a board. I mean, yes, it's the nuts right now, but there are going to be a ton of runouts where it's just a nightmare. Right, so I have a spot where I would normally always call, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to call here. And it might seem a bit weird. So that's why I need to tell you. Normally, I'm always calling there. But here, it's a real, genuine spot where we've got a good reg behind us, and we have the whale in the small blind. If they have a strong hand, they are more likely to flat, making sure this player comes in. So what this creates for us is a situation where we could get squeezed and then squeezed again with a hand that will do very, very badly against such a range. Okay? So in that instance, the squeezer is often going to have a lot of kings, aces, queens, jacks, and that was our range, basically. So we would be absolute toast. So that's why we made the disciplined fold there. I wouldn't normally make that fold because I just don't expect to be re-squeezed. But again, you got to pay attention to table dynamics, especially when there's a juicy spot at the table, shall we say. So we got single suited aces. Don't think we want to be building the pot here. It's not that strong. And doesn't look like we're going to continue. Checks through. I don't hit that turn either, so we are out of there. From the looks of it, our whale is very aggressive. So it might be a spot where we want to be fairly trappy. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to guess that... wow, okay, that is not what I was going to guess. That seems to be, to me, complete madness. But I'll take it. Right, so here I've got set of eights and the nut straight. So we're just going to put it in against the pot bet. It's not going to get folded much. And we're behind, which I was not expecting. Not behind much with the set, but I guess they blocked my... I blocked my set outs and they blocked my set outs, and then they had the higher straight draw. I think we got good odds here, and then here I got ace and king. I want to call because we got a recreational on the big blind on table 2, and then I wanted to over limp because we got good odds and double pair. So that's why we did it. Table 2, I have bits and pieces all over the board. I blocked a straight, I have a 2 pair, and I have the second nut flush draw, which is a really hard spot to deal with, but I think check calling is just about the right play. And now we've got king 10 facing someone who checked back the flop and then bet the turn, and I have a 7. So didn't think they had a straight. The question was, do I think they would bluff? And that is a tough one when you're playing lower stakes, because most regs are fairly decently under bluffing. So the proper play probably is to check fold there. It's a bit weak. In theory, I think we should look them up fairly often there with our holding. Anyway, I've flopped the nuts against the recreational. We just want to build the pot, so that's what we'll do. We're going to get called by flush draws, so that's not a problem. Now we're just going to slow down because I don't think flush draws would call anymore. And they snap checked back. We've got 2 9s. So we're really heavily blocking the straights that we can get value from. So I think we're just going to check and hope that they bluff. And don't... In general, I don't think it will happen very often, but... Oh, they had 10-9. Well, okay. I think that was a bit thin on their behalf, but I'll take it. So we got a single suited aces and raise it up. And I don't think we want to be messing around too much with the recreation behind me. Given that I think they're also overvaluing their hand strengths. it's going to be quite hard to bluff them, especially out of position. We need very specific spots to do that. Right. We flop the wrap on a rainbow board against a regular. Do I always want to bet this wrap? Probably not, but we're going to do it this time. And on table 1, I think we just want to play a small pot there. Right, so we have been check raised. That's not an issue because we've got a wrap. It's cool. We don't have spades, so we're not going to be able to continue if they keep betting, which is very likely. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then here on... Ooh. Here on table 1, we've got a real tough spot. We got top 2, which isn't that good. We got... I think we just have to fold. So normally this is a fairly easy fold. The reason it's not a fairly easy fold is just because the person who did the initial bet is kind of insane. But I just don't have many redraws going on other than we want a king or a 10 to come out. Like, would I be happy with a 9 high flush here? No. So that's the reason. King Jack Jack is a fairly loose call that I'm going to make just because of the player that we're up against. And then I'm just going to fold the flop. Ace, Queen, Queen, we're going to just flat call. We want the small blind to be involved. And free betting is much more likely to get them out of there, which we don't want. We've got a weird small free bet and then a call. Yeah, if I had one of those good hands, then we are raising up there, but we don't, so there's no need. And it gets checked to me, and I have ace with a 5-3 up against someone who I think if they have ace 9, they're always betting. So that's why I'm betting myself. And we get called, which is not too big of an issue. 4-3 has come in. We've got a free. Ace 5 is showdown value, so we'll take it. And ace 5 is still showdown value, so we'll take it. We got donked into for pot. So that's an easy fold, I guess. Yeah, so we just check it behind. And try and figure out why they called me there. Because that seems kind of insane. So they called me with pocket kings with a 9. I have absolutely no idea why you would make that call. These are good tables, PokerStars. Right, so we've got a queen, top pair on a rainbow board. I don't think we want to bet too often with this one because it's got fairly decent 2 pair outs if we need them. And then like second nut flush draws and all this stuff. So yeah, I do like checking behind. Again, we got a nice check back hand here. It can handle on street fairly easily unless unless this river comes out. Where now I don't really have any... I don't really have showdown value. So now we are going for a bet. What size are we going to use? We want to get things like ace jack to fold. So it doesn't need to be that big. It can be really small. So that's what we'll do. I don't think ace jack is going to call there, the small bet. So we don't need to make a big one. I'm not too worried about trying to get ace king to fold because I've got 2 kings myself. Ace queen won't fold. So yeah. Slowly wind down. And then we can talk about the games on PokerStars. just in general. The state of the games in 6 card compared to other cash games. Okay, we got the 7-6. We got the 8. I think we're gonna bluff this one because I don't really think we can check call. With our, it's a fairly decent wrap. All right, so we get raised, but not that huge. We need 30%. Any 9. Yeah, no. That was the play. Just check and to try bet and fold to raise. It's quite hard spot for the sandwich person to bluff too much. Right, so we got triple suited kings, and we want to be playing against the guy in the big blind. So normally I would free bet this, but we kind of want to be in pots with this player. We've seen them do smaller free bets, so this bigger one is actually concerning. So I'm not actually like thinking, oh, let's stack off here. If they had always used this big free bet sizing and they were always just full of crap, then yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. But unfortunately, that's not the case. They mashed the pot button. If it was folded to me, I think I would still fold. But now that there's a raise and a pot, it's an easy fold. And I love how the guys hit top set. That's amazing. Some people, eh? Right, so this hand here, if we get free bet, I am definitely 4-betting them. On table 1. On table 2 as well, I guess. If we get free bet, do I want to 4-bet it? Probably not. No. So again, we haven't really hit, but this time the board is quite dry, so we are going to bet ourselves. We've got the nut flush draw plus a gut shot facing a pot bet. And we've got aces. We're just going to call. We now picked up nut flush draw and gut shot on table 2, so we're just going to keep betting. And we get called, which is really not ideal. And table 1 should be an easy call actually, so that's fine. And then so we're here with the queen 9. Do I want to bluff? Because it would be a bluff if I bet. Probably not. I think we've got enough showdown value. Yes, that's good. And then here with the aces with the queen, do I want to ever hero call? Probably not. So we'll just fold. This spot I want to quickly check in the calculator because of the flop betting range. And I just want to see how much equity we have in a spot where I think we have no fold equity. So it's a good spot to just check how our equity is doing and whether I've missed an opportunity to just get it in. So we had ace of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds, queen 8 of clubs, and 10 of hearts. And the board was 2 of hearts, 9 of clubs, jack of diamonds. Right, so our opponent free bet from the small blind. Small blind free bet range. We're just going to write 8%. They're a good reg. I think it was about. I would guess they're about that kind of range. Now that we got the new playability function, I don't need to define it too much more than that. Pre-flop, it's got a good representation of what a top 8% range looks like. So I'm very happy with that addition to the calculator. Now, they've mashed pot. So what kind of hands are going to mash pot? I would say that bare Jack without a Queen 10 or a 10-8. So I'm going to put Jack, 8%, and Jack without Queen 10 /10-8. So that's one part. I'm going to say they're going to have all the 9-9s, all the 2-2s. Fairly unlikely, but worth putting in anyway. They're going to have the ace, queen 10s. They're going to have the ace, 10-8 probably. They are going to have the ace, king, queen, jack type stuff. So ace, king, queen, jack. They're going to have aces with Jack 9 and a 10, aces with Jack 9 with a queen. Aces, Jack 9 with a 10, and aces, Jack 9 with a queen. Anything else? I think that is a good representation of their range. So we're just going to run it and just see where we're at. Okay, so I think that it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to get it in here. It's not a huge mistake then to get it in. Generally speaking, I would want a little bit more given that I have position. So in these kind of SPR4 spots, I would be shoving when I would want to shove when I have like 51, 52% against their betting range. So it's good to know. I'm just going to think about how much stronger does my hand need to be to then want to shove. So let's say that we swap out our 7 of diamonds, and instead of having the 7 of diamonds, we got the Jack of spades. Let's go with Jack of spades. Yeah. So instead of the 7 diamonds, we got the Jack of spades. That should be a pretty nice increase. We'll have a look. That's a huge increase. Okay, so that in that instance, when we have Jack 2 and the wrap, we should be jamming in. What about if we had the 9? So let's give ourselves the 9 of spades. Yeah, that'll do. See how that goes. Again, huge increase in equity. What if we gave ourselves queens instead of the 9? So let's just put queen of spades. That'll be simple enough. That's not good enough. So it's a good way to kind of figure out how wide we can just start shoving against us. So I would want to be a little bit stronger than queens there. And then clearly having 2 pair is just good enough. Let's say we add a king in instead. I'm going to guess that is also good enough. So we put, yeah, king of spades is fine. I was wrong. Okay, king is not good enough addition because we already have that wrap. Already doesn't help that much extra. Okay. So just having the wrap plus the 2 pair is enough to get it in. Without the 2 pair, it's probably not a good idea. We could also check if I change the 2 to a jack. Right, so let's put this king back to the 7 of diamonds. And we change the 2 back. We'd make it stronger. Let's put a 9. Let's put 9 of spades. Start with that. So it's our hand, but we've got middle pair instead of bottom pair. That is enough. Okay, there you go. That is the threshold from which I would shove, or I would want to be able to shove. Realistically, would I have done that before looking at this? Probably not. I would have presumed I'm not strong enough. But now that I have looked, I'm glad I have. And next time I know, we can just shove it there. So I want to quickly check this spot in the calculator, specifically the turn more so than the river. So we have ace, queen, 9, 5, 4 of hearts, 4 of diamonds, and the board is 8 of hearts, ace of diamonds, 4 of spades, 9 of hearts. So what I really want to check is how well my range is doing against his, because of one simple fact that I clearly forgot about, I think, during the hand. So when this hand actually played out, I forgot that the MP had limped, the cutoff had overlimped, and then the button, who the player we were up against, also overlimped. So I'm going to try to put their hand in, which I think is 15 to 60%. And then also they're going to have, I would say, something like 20 to 85%, specifically with aces. So we're going to say that is their range right now. And then we're going to try and define it a little bit more. So that 15 to 60% needs to be redefined. The 20 to 85% and aces doesn't. Maybe I actually want to make it 30% because I think they might raise the rest. All right, so let's do that. If you're ever using the calculator and it goes red, just press the space bar in that line and it will reload it up. Okay, so I think that the 15 to 60% is gonna have ace 9 with the nut flush draw in it. So it'll be ace 9. I think actually all it needs is ace 9 with the ace of hearts. I don't even need to say that it's always got the nut flush. I think ace 9 with the blocker is probably enough. I think it's a good raise to do. The question is, does that reg do that? I think they were quite a good aggressive reg. So yeah, I'm going to presume they can have that in Arsenal. I think they will have pocket 9s. And what else? Ace 9 with like a queen jack 10 is also something I think they would have. So we are trying to define their range here as best as we can. So we've got 9, 9, and then yeah, I'm happy with that range. I need to write and there, bracket it all together so it knows what groups to look at. Press the space bar. Make sure it's defining the hands. When we see this here, it tells us it's been defined. And then we're just going to run our equity to see how we're doing. Because I think I might have made a mistake here because I had the flush draw and the set. I think I should have re-raised here. So let's have a look. Oh, apparently not. Good. That's good to know. It's nice to know, especially when I've allowed quite a few bluffs with them just having the ace of hearts. Always with the 9. Always raising it. So I'd say this is on the more bluffy side of their range construction, and they still have it. I guess one thing that I did maybe isn't quite right is the amount of aces. Let's half that amount of aces. So let's say it's, so I think 45 to 85% would be halving the amount of aces in their range. And even then we're still behind. Let's say we just completely take them out entirely. We're still behind. So I think that is as good as representation as we can. That was not a raised spot, and I'm glad that I know that now. So that was PLO6 on PokerStars. I think you'll agree, tables looked quite juicy. I think in general, the lower stakes you go, the more and more juicy it will get. I think it's one of the few game types that we can still basically become professional from little understanding. So I think it's a good game to learn comparatively to others, where the strategy is kind of matured. I think in this game there is plenty of good players doing completely different strategies to each other, just because of the complexity to this game. Fairly new to have any kind of strategy resource, so definitely worth getting the first mover advantage and checking out the Grinders Vault Calculator, getting to know and understand how hands work pre-flop, what is a good hand, what is a bad hand. If you have any thoughts on which site is better, specifically for low stakes, tell me in the chat, PokerStars or GG, or have you got any other places that maybe are worth looking at? That would also be good to hear about. All right, thank you all for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.